Welcome to Winning the Game of Life. I'm your host, Shawn Chhabra. Today I'm very excited, very happy because I'm having a very good morning. Before the interview, I was having a little chat with the Iron Jen. She is none other than Jen McDonough. She is known for the Iron Jen. There must be some reasons. Let us explore into that. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Oh, Shawn, thanks for having me on. I'm totally honored.
It's my pleasure, and my listeners and my viewers have been dying and waiting for this day.
Oh, thank you.
So I know you for a while, but like my listeners and viewers, some of my listeners and viewers may not know who is the Iron Jen. So
Sure.
would you like to tell us who you are?
Oh, sure. Well, I am a mom of four, which is my favorite role in the world. We have four awesome kids. Been married to my awesome husband Bob for 23 years. I get to do a lot of things in my roles as an entrepreneur, including speaking to first responders. I coach entrepreneurs to help them find clarity and focus. And I also have several clients that I work with to help them move forward. So I have just a hoot of a time getting to do what I do and helping people get over their obstacles.
Wow, what an introduction. So, but like how you became the person you are today. I was reading some of your stories from the like several years back. Like you was going through some problems, family problem, or your son was sick or something, and like you are an Iron Jen. Then that's why I'm having the courage to ask you, and let's take us back to that journey. If it was somebody else, I may not even.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know.
Well, before, so our family's most known for Shawn paying over $212,000 off in debt and medical expenses. And our story really stemmed out of when our son, who was 7 at the time, was diagnosed with a lifetime medical condition. And we were just absolutely devastated, to have something happen to your child. And as we were dealing with that, and we found ourselves trying to really struggle and get a hold on that this was something he had. It wasn't happening to somebody else. It was happening to us. And as we started to go through that grieving process, all the shock, anger, denial, we found ourselves starting to pay off his medical bills. And as we started to pay off his medical bills, we found ourselves really struggling in paying our everyday bills. And that's really when we found ourselves in a huge mess in our finances. And it was probably the most painful time in our lives, darkest time in our lives. We didn't know if we were going to lose our house, where we'd be living. It was just a really, really painful time. And I think, we all have those struggles somewhere in our life. We all experience bad things that happen to us, and it's just life. And it's really how we deal with those type situations that really determine our outcomes. I truly believe that. And so learning how to pierce through that pain and be able to start addressing some of those problems was really difficult, because I think a lot of times when we get into struggles, we can find ourselves wanting to kind of marinate in that pain. It's easier to stay in that pain many times. And so while our story has a really fairy tale ending, we paid off all this debt, we share our story now around the country, it really stemmed from a painful time in our lives, and it really disrupted not only our own fears and emotions, but it disrupted our marriage. It caused a lot of havoc in our jobs. We had a lot of trauma and drama that went on during that time, and that really probably was a pinnacle point in really starting the process to where we're at today and helping people.
No, I feel sorry to hear all that, but I'm still wondering how you came out of that, how you changed. What, like you was there and you were hiding in a bubble and just going through that mentally and emotionally and financially broke. So there must be something like which triggers, like gave you some strength, or somebody helped you, or what happened?
Yeah, well, first it was looking at where we were at and really what the problem was. And for that, it was looking at our finances, where we were at. And honestly, Shawn, we wanted a pot of gold to come our way. We thought just fix our problem. And we that didn't happen. What happened was is we found ourselves in a finance class and we were ashamed, we were embarrassed. But really that finance class taught us how to look at reality and where we were at, and then from there we could start getting our finances in order. And really the journey to where I'm at today as an entrepreneur started during that journey, but it happened specifically when during that journey of paying off debt, I lost a job that I totally loved. I was passionate about. It was a lot of my identity. I thought, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I had worked in this field for 20 years. I was awesome at it. And to lose something that you love, due to not your own doing, but due to outside circumstances, kind of felt like a sucker punch. And I thought, well, change is good. How about if I go do something else? And I did go do something else. And Shawn, I found myself so struggling again because I was like, I was not put on this earth to do what I'm doing right now. And I was so not happy at all with life, not happy with the job. And I wanted to blame the people that I worked with. I thought, what's wrong with these people? What's wrong with this company? And what's wrong with me? But it was the journey of self-discovery, and looking where we were at, just like our finances, looking at where we were at and seeing really what the problem was. And in essence, it's not that the company was the problem or the people were the problem or that it was me. It was just discovering what my purpose was and how I was wired. And that's what really started me on the process to saying, okay, here's where I'm at. Now, where do you want to be? Because I think a lot of us get stuck kind of in that day-to-day living. We get stuck in that day-to-day grind, and we forget to ask ourselves, really, where do we want to be? But once we do that, we can set a journey. We can set that goal up of where we want to be, and that's when our journey begins, when we can start taking steps forward to that. So that's really what happened in my case, kind of in a nutshell. I'm not sure if you want to dive deeper into that or if that helped answer.
That answers, like, it's still telling me, like, I see people are all around here and there. They're so busy in their daily routines and they're just jumping from one task to another and they are not even sure where they are going. It's like driving without GPS and without having an address. If at least they know from here they want to go here or they want to go here, at least their everyday task should be taking in that direction or that direction. Even if it's not taking in a straight line, at least it should be going somehow wherever they want to be. So that was something good. I just grasped from you, like you tweak that to that journey with certain goals or directions. But most of the people I don't think they're doing that.
Yeah, when I started back in my younger years, Shawn, I was actually a competitive U.S. Olympic U.S. Olympic style lifter. And so I was an 8-time national weightlifter, 2-time U.S. Olympic medal winner, U.S. festival medal winner. And really, what most people don't know is I started weightlifting with a broomstick. I mean, it was something that started off very small and grew over time. But that 10-year period of, working out twice a day, not getting to do a lot because I was always in the gym. What that time really did is, number one, it kept me out of trouble in my 20s. When some people were hanging out in the bar, I was at the gym working out, trying to get better. But it really taught me what goals can do and what intention can do. So we don't have to be the strongest people in the world to do things. We don't have to be the best at anything. We don't even have to like what we're doing. But we do need to have some goals on where we want to go. And that really, as long as we enjoy those outcomes, to just know that it's okay to hate the process. So, for example, I really don't like finances. I hate budgeting. I don't think I'm good at it. I hate Excel sheets. But I know that the 5 minutes a day that I spend on our finances is going to give us great outcomes. And so I think it just is helpful to realize that sometimes no matter what our dreams are, we're not always going to enjoy every step of the way, but that's okay to just realize you don't have to be good at everything, but just realizing that grit and sticking to it and having those goals is so important. So those dreams, because you're right, we do get so busy in life, especially with things like technology. More than ever, a lot of us are really strapped to our work. You know, we are constantly in touch by phone or by pager or whatever that is, and it's hard to make those margins in life to break away to say, now I'm with my family, now I'm at work. And when we get in that mind set of trying to be all to everybody at all times, that's when chaos starts coming into our lives. And that's when we forget to ask ourselves, what is it that I want and where do I want to be? And when that happens, you're right, we're just zigzagging all over the place from this busy thing to that busy thing, and we're really not getting anywhere.
So what I see here is like the Jen who is here today, the Iron Jen, some maybe a lot of credit goes to your background as an athlete and weightlifter, and that may have developed some like a focus and discipline, and you was already that person. Even at that time you was almost close to what you are today, but you at that time you didn't explore, you didn't look inward, and when the time arrived, life became so challenging, so you already had those muscles. So those were physical muscles. You already knew how to build that, and you already had some mental strength, but maybe you was not using that much. And once the challenge came, you just change your mindset, and in place of focusing on those physical strength and things, you became mentally strong, and you just came out of the problems. That's my take. How?
Yeah, you know, I think for all of us, Shawn, you know, we talked a little bit about before the show, but I think fear can be so crippling to all of us. Recently, I just transitioned from out of a full-time corporate job last year to being able to speak and write and coach full-time, and I'm telling you, I'm loving it. But one of the things that I knew when that transition happened is I would no longer have that 2-hour daily commute. I would have a little more control over my schedule. You know, I could be flexible. And so our family really believes in living it forward. I mean, we've been blessed so much. We've been given so much. And so it was important to find something a way to give back to our community. And long story short, Shawn, through discovering how I'm wired, and that's a key part of being successful too, is knowing how we're wired and what drives us and what motivates us and where our weak points are. That's incredibly important. But knowing how I'm wired, I decided that I wanted to become a firefighter. And Shawn, I had never even been in a fire hall before, and I didn't know much about it, had no clue. And so at age 44, mom of 4, little asthma, slightly overweight, I said, this is what I want to do. And so I found a team locally, and I went through about 200 hours of training to become one. And I'll tell you, to this day, Shawn, I really don't like fires. I don't like heights, and I'm pretty claustrophobic. But I know that every time that I make myself go to training or go to practice or go to a call, that I'm making myself breathe through those fears. And I think that when we can learn to take ourselves out of our comfort zones, no matter who we are, what we do for a living, when we can intentionally put ourselves into uncomfortable situations, we start to learn how to overcome those fears, build that mental strength, and learn how to breathe through our fears. And I think that's such an important exercise for all of us in learning how to grow, because it's really in those out of comfortable zones or fear zones is that when we learn how to grow. So it's through our pain that we grow a lot of times. I'm so mesmerized and lost when I'm listening to you. I know I go through those fears myself, you know, like before I started this podcast, like I went all over the Facebook private groups without like
knowing my family and friends to know, I'm even exploring into these podcasts and these videos, and 99% of people who know me, they don't know I'm even recording these audios and videos. And in 2 weeks, when I'm going to launch these 50 episodes, boom, all of a sudden everybody will know where the hell I had been hiding. So the first fear was my accent, English problem. I'm not born here, so I always have that fear. Oh, people won't like it, people this, people that. And any coach like you, if I ask them, they say whatever is your weakness, maybe that's your strength. People want to hear and talk to people who are different. You are bringing something from somewhere else. Maybe you got something, it's not value to you. You're not valuing it because in other people's eye, it may be a lot of value. And I came out of that cocoon and became a butterfly, and now nothing can stop me.
Oh, Shawn, I love it. And don't you think, too, when you share those vulnerabilities, when you share those pain points, that it helps people to go, oh, I connect with you, and it helps them see that they're not alone in their fears and their struggles. And I think when we realize that we're not alone, boy, that's an important part in helping us grow. Just being connected with people.
Not only that, you said going out of comfort zone is the fun part, and even before the interview, the way I was talking and enjoying the conversation, you may have seen my passion and my happiness, like I was happy as a baby,
Yeah.
So you saw that, and you were so surprised. And not only that, I went through all over the internet trying to find like how many people like me from India or immigrants, they are doing podcasts. There may be like 100 immigrants I found. Maybe I found only less than 10 Indians. I found less than 10 Indians living in America and doing podcasting. And in the whole universe, whole world, including India, I couldn't find more than 25 podcasters who are born in India.
Shawn, that is so cool.
I thought, well,
all right.
What I'm doing is part of history, and whatever content I'm creating, and I'm surrounding myself with the successful people and coaches and educators like you. It's so much fun. I mean, when you are surrounded by smart people, smarter than you and more educated from different part of life and different culture and different kind of career and different backgrounds, and everybody came with the different challenges. Like your story is so unique. I have done so far only 20 interviews, but you were so unique. That's why I had been requesting you to come on my show, and finally I owe you for this because you took
Shawn,
an hour.
This has just been a delight. And I think, wow, if you hadn't been willing to share that pain or to step through that fear, how many people you wouldn't be connecting with. Like you and I wouldn't have connected this morning. Your audience wouldn't have gotten to connect with you. And I think, don't you think too, we all have something inside of us that we can contribute and we can share in some way. Maybe it's not through podcasting, but maybe it's through whatever it is that we're gifted at or how we're wired. And if we don't share that, we're really cheating the world.
Yeah, not only the world, we are cheating ourselves first.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're awake, you're walking around working, but your eyes are closed. You don't want to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
I always say a lot of times, like people who are crooked, bad in their head, if they're looking in the mirror, they will just break the mirror right away.
Yeah.
they don't have courage. They have the fear not to even face themselves.
Oh, I think that's what it really comes down to in all our struggles is we all have that fear of reality. We all have that fear of facing what it is, that our lives really are and what our struggles really are and why they're there and what we can do about it.
Okay, let me ask you something like whatever we are talking here, most of our listeners or viewers are like small businesses, entrepreneurs, and some of the family businesses, and some of those may be like still on the fences whether they should take the next step, start their business, or they should pursue their new career, or maybe they should just quit the so-called successful business or job and pursue their passion, like you did, quit your corporate job, and now you're a full-time coach and trainer and helping the world, you know?
Yeah.
So what do you say, how they can come over those fears of failure and fears of success, and how they can change their mindset? Today that will be the blessing for many of those, if you can little walk them through this.
Yeah, well, Shawn, I think entrepreneurs and small business owners, they're wired a little differently. A lot of us like challenges, we like change, and most of the population doesn't. If we look at how, personality styles are wired, we can see that about 80% of the population doesn't like change. They like things, kind of organized, kind of the same. And so it can sometimes feel like we're on an uphill battle. We're a little different. And I think when you're a little different, a lot of times there's more resistance. And when we get in times of fear or self-doubt, I think we can feel that resistance more. So when I was making our transition, and that can be compounded by, if we're married, sometimes our spouses are just the opposite of we are. And so in our situation, I'm married to my opposite spouse, and he likes things steady. He likes things the same. He's been at the same company for 30 years. And when I was talking about going on our own, I was talking about my dreams and where I wanted to go and, how wonderful this was going to be. But as I was talking about this, the more I talked about it, Shawn, the more it became his nightmare. Because in his mind, all he could see us doing is living under a bridge with our family. He didn't see this as being a security type thing. It was a very fearful experience for him to think about because, as we know as entrepreneurs, success just doesn't come our way. We don't just put an open sign on our buildings and then, people are going to flock to us. It takes work. Mm-hmm. And, there's not always a cookie cutter style of doing things. A lot of times we're kind of writing our history as we go, how we do it, our formula for success. And so I think when we're in those situations, having what I call those true blues in our life, those people that really get what the business is and what that lifestyle is really helpful. Finding people who value family is important, because I think many times it can be easy for us to get wrapped up into the business and doing things instead of being present with our family. And so kind of trying to find that ebb and flow, that balance is really helpful. And I think we can a lot of times find that through mentors, through coaches, through successful people who are already there. That can be through books and podcasts. But realizing that every successful person out there had to start with that first step, just like we do. And realizing that sometimes these big name stars or these big name successful people, it may have been a 10, 20-year journey for them to get there. So to realize is that we all have those first steps, and they're fearful and they're scary, they're exciting, but there's always going to be self-doubt as we go. There's always going to be fear as we go, but just really learning to breathe through those fears and connect with people who get it. It helps us stay grounded. It also helps us find clarity, because we can get so lost in our own troubles. We can't see past where we're going, and having that person who's not emotionally attached to it come into our lives and help us call out that clarity can help us remain focused. And really it helps to have that grit to keep going, to know that, I may not be where want to be today, but I'm taking steps to get there. And no matter how small those steps are, it's important, because that's what gets us along in the journey. So having people to do it with us is really helpful. Having that clarity on where we want to go, and really the reason why is absolutely essential, because there's going to be so many days when you think, why am I doing this? Who am I to think that I can be doing this? It really helps us to remember, this is why I'm doing it. This is where I'm going. And I think it helps to have that a lot in the journey. So having podcasts like yours, Shawn, to listen to, because there's going to be days that you go, oh, I can't do this anymore, is essential to hear those people who have done it and, are still struggling themselves in some area. It helps. Seeing people's vulnerabilities who are willing to share is really a gift.
Wow. I had to tell you something, okay? Like when I interview people, I generally try not to do too much research so that I hear fresh. And it's first time for me as well as first time for the listeners. So that way I'm almost like the other listeners. So that way I'm coming up with the questions and what else I want to know about you and all that. But when you said like whenever you have doubts, you want to like go forward on that. Before I do interview and night before I listen last 2 interviews I did with the other guests. So that's so empowering and it takes me in that mode and I'm so happy and dancing inside,
Yeah, you're remembering why you're doing it.
Yeah, so that makes me excited for the next morning,
Yeah. Oh, that's cool, Shawn.
Yeah, okay, so I know soon we will be closing to the end of the show, so I want to know, like, you're a best-selling author of multiple books. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your business? Business, I mean your books in short.
Oh, sure. Well, Shawn, as I mentioned, I really hate budgeting. I don't like finances at all. Okay. But because we've been so successful on that, we've had people ask, hey, how did you do it? And so basically, I wrote a book that hit #1 for budgeting under Amazon.
Wow, which is so congratulations.
Great. Yeah. Thanks. But it's really written for people who hate budgets, hate finances, don't think they're good at them, because it was written by someone who hates finances, doesn't like budgets. And it's really a short and simple book to say, hey, this is how you do a budget. That's basically all it is. And but then so that's our book, 5 Minutes a Day to Living Beyond Rich, which is on Amazon. We also have our book, Living Beyond Rich, which is our story on how we, with our son and how we paid off so much debt. But what I really like about that, Shawn, is I think it takes readers through kind of where we were at and where we're at today, and to realize that rich is more than just the money that we have in our bank accounts. Rich is really about finding peace and contentment and really defining what our wants are in life and what our needs are in life. And really that journey to discover that being busy in life isn't what necessarily it makes us rich. And so it's the relationships we have. It's, it's kind of the whole thing of how we live our lives. So that is a book that's near and dear to my heart. And then our other book, if you have listeners who are looking for, hey, can I even do this, and starting the journey, our book, Living Beyond Awesome, is actually a hilarious book. It's the book on how I went from being a couch potato mom who didn't know how to run, swim, or bike to becoming an Ironman triathlete, which is a person who does a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and then a marathon, 26.2 miles in one day. And that story, anyone who's ever read it is always laughed. They're like, it is so funny. But I think people can see that even if you have a person like me who is so terrible at many things, when you can see that a person like me has success, they can say, hey, if she can do it, I can do it. And so that has really been a fun book to share. So that is, all 3 are on Amazon, and you can search it by name. Otherwise, you can search it by the title of the book. But those are really fun books. And then our 4th book that we have coming out is really geared for first responders. It's on helping them find good sleep. So I'm not a sleep expert, but I love sleep. So getting to help them find ways to find good sleep is really important for what they do.
Wow, congratulations on that journey. And I'm so honored.
Oh, thanks, Shawn.
Okay, so I had to ask a question, okay? Like,
yes.
In addition to your books, is there any other book or couple of books in your life maybe you liked or have any effect on your journey?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Shawn, I love reading. Like, oh my goodness. I would say, okay, off the top of my head, some of my favorites are Daring Greatly by Brené Brown is an incredible book for anyone to read. If It helps us understand what shame does in our life, how that, makes us fear things. And it helps us to understand the importance of vulnerability. So when we become vulnerable and face into our weaknesses, that's really how we become strong. So huge book. The other book, oh my goodness, this is one of my all-time favorites. It's for helping with self-doubts and to help us understand, why we have those. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and it is a favorite of mine for people looking to make the transition from entrepreneur, corporate to entrepreneurial. The book No More Mondays by my favorite mentor, Dan Miller, is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I'm looking here, I'm kind of panicked, Shawn, because I'm like, what other ones, could I name off? But I would say those are some of my favorites. Wisdom Meets Passion by Dan Miller is awesome. Reading is such, I look at my books, Shawn, and I think, these are my friends, These friends have been on the journey with me through really tough times, and I love getting to be surrounded by them because they remind me of where we're at in our journeys and how it helped you. So
I always think like books are like my parents or my coaches,
Oh, yeah.
If you're surrounded by them, those books, those are wisdom powerhouses.
Yeah. And, for those who are in the car a lot and you prefer audiobooks, I prefer reading real books myself because I love to highlight and make notes. My books are always messy because I'm writing in them all the time. But audiblebooks.com, and I think if you go audible/48 days, or you use the coupon 48 days, you can get like your first month free or something. And so that's a great way to stay educated too in your car is Audible books for those who drive a lot.
Very nice, very nice. So before we end the show, is there any last minute advice?
Oh, Shawn, I would just say for those making that transition or making that leap, be sure you're surrounding yourself with great people and, things like great books and great podcasts because the days it's like having kids. The days can be long with those little kids, but the years are short. They grow up so fast. And I think any journey where you have a lot of self-doubt or pain is a journey to look back on and smile because you'll realize how much you've grown, and kind of when you can have that attitude of gratitude, it really helps along the way. So grit and gratitude, I would say, are two helpful things, as well as really connecting with people who get it, who understand, and who can help lead you forward.
Very good. Thank you very much. And one more thing, on the website and podcast and everywhere, I'll be putting the links and all the information about you. But still, this is being launched as a video and audio, two different podcasts. So would you like to tell our listeners if they want to connect with you or some corporate who want to book you for the speaking engagement or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for asking, Shawn. Well, I love to go out and speak to first responders groups, so like 911 dispatchers, law enforcement, any type of groups that deal with our public. But I also really enjoy speaking to organizations that work in high stress situations. So if you have an organization like that, I have some great talks and great training that I love to do. And my main goal is really to reach each audience where they're at. So if you're interested in that, please connect with me. You can find my videos on my website and my contact information at theirongen.com. And for those who are interested in learning about any coaching that I do for entrepreneurs, you can find that at theirongen.com as well. You can hit the click. Actually, Shawn, if you go to theirongen.com/EOF and enter the code word FIRE, that'll actually give your listeners a free copy of a download of our ebook, 5 Minutes a Day to Living Beyond Rich. And we'll make that good through the end of the year. And if they go ahead on that page, theirongen.com/EOF, and on there there'll be a link to some services that we have or resources that they can use for entrepreneurs looking to make that transition from corporate or wherever they're from into going into entrepreneurship. If they go to that page, they'll find the ebook for 5 minutes a day to Living Beyond Rich. And that's just our basic book on how to budget. Because I'm really passionate about seeing people who are passionate about helping others get their finances in order, because it can do so much for our lives and helping us move forward. And so it's just a gift from my family to your family and helping them move forward.
It was very inspiring, and my listeners and viewers will thank me for bringing you here today, and
Thank you, Shawn.
when you launch the next book, I'll try to reach you. I would like to invite you again in case you are available.
Shawn, thank you so much.
Yeah, so I would, unfortunately, we are to end of the show. And
I know, I'm so sad.
I would like to thank you and invite you again. Don't be sad, okay? So let us chat for 5 more minutes after the interview. How about that?
That sounds great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Do not throw that old phone away. Your trash may be hidden gold. We want your old device and will pay top dollar for it. Our process is as easy as 1, 2, 3. We offer no obligation sales. If you have a problem with the price that we gave you, we will return the device to you at no charge. Fast payment, free shipping, free data wipe, risk-free transaction. Buybackqueen.com.